Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Mixed Martial Arts. My name is Austin Shaper, and this is a show where we explore the topics of UAP, UFC, and World War III. Now, I've got to preface this entire episode today with the fact I'm very tired. I was not planning on doing an episode today. I don't usually do them on Saturday, and we stayed up late last night and got home late and had no plans to do this, but I've got to bring some very unfortunate breaking news that I'm not excited to be doing this episode, guys. I just want to be honest with you. I'm not happy about this. I don't really want to be bringing this to you, but I think that it merits the world posting about it because it's just important and it's devastating and it's sad. It's awful. And, obviously with my channel having a geopolitical segment in it, I think that I couldn't go by and not cover this. So let's just bring it to you straight, and I want to preface this news with the fact that I am not an expert on Israel and Palestine. I am not an expert at all. I know very little about the geopolitical tension that has gone on through the decades, who's right, who's wrong. Now, one point I will make with as little information as I have about it, it's hard for me to make conclusions because I just don't know that part of the world very well, and I want to be honest about that. I don't want to pretend to be some expert that I'm not on the geopolitical tensions, but everybody knows that there has been high tensions with Palestine and Israel for decades and decades now. They've attacked each other. There's been all kinds of horrible incidences. Now, I don't know if this is I don't believe with my limited scope of knowledge that this is black and white. I believe that probably both parties have caused harm and damage and problems to each other. That's normally how it goes in this world. It's not necessarily that one party is 100% innocent and one party is 100% guilty. But with that being said, what I'm seeing today that Hamas from Palestine is doing, the military arm of Palestine, what they're doing to the citizens of Israel, to the soldiers of Israel, there has been an unprecedented attack. I suppose let's just get into the headlines real quick so I can bring you guys up to speed, and then we'll kind of talk about my opinion on what's going on. So breaking updates, Israel, Hamas war escalates. So I'm going to have to go out of camera view for a little bit just so I can pull this up for you guys. I want to make sure that I read it accurately. So it says, Israel's defense minister has announced that Hamas militant group has started a war against Israel amid infiltrations from paragliders, sea, and ground. Now, if you guys keep up with geopolitical stuff at all, you've probably seen that these guys have been in this dispute for a long time. They go back and forth. Palestine and Hamas has attacked Israel plenty of times. I don't know how it's gone on the flip side with Israel and Palestine, but I have seen example video today of Israeli citizens beating this Palestinian woman on the side of the road. So, as I said, I don't know if there's any fully innocent party in here, but from what I'm seeing today, from what Palestine is doing right now, they launched this military operation, a war. They launched a war. This isn't some small-scale attack like we've seen in the past where they shoot a couple rockets and a civilian or two dies. This is a massive attack that nobody was expecting. Israel, with all the preparation they've done to be able to defend themselves against an attack like this, they were completely caught with their pants down. I'm going to continue to read some headlines with you guys, and then we'll get into some of the implications of this. But it's awful. The videos are awful. This attack, I guess, just started in the middle of the night for us here in the United States. I woke up to this news, and I was really caught off guard because I didn't understand the gravity of it. And the gravity of it is severe. I think that needs to be stated. This is a big deal. This isn't like the usual attacks we see. This is massive. So it says the Israel-Hamas war escalates. This is coming from Twitter. It says Hamas launched an unprecedented attack on Israel, entering Israeli territory. Israel has declared a state of war. So they're at war right now. As of this morning, they are at war against Palestine, against Hamas. It says here's the latest updates as we cover the matter. Israel has just been hit with a massive blow by Hamas. Forces are currently on the ground, hitting Israel hard with sirens going off throughout the country. Who funds Hamas? So this is as I mentioned, this is a much bigger attack than we have seen in decades and decades, to the point where Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, has declared war. He told his citizens verbatim, this is not an operation, this is a war that just started. So a massive deal with massive implications. And it's horrible. The videos I'm seeing all over Twitter, I don't recommend watching them, but they are horrible. It is civilians strewn dead all over the place, old women, and elderly, women, children, everybody you could imagine. Hamas is currently going through cities, going through Israeli territory, breaking into everybody's homes and slaughtering them, kidnapping them. There's all kinds of videos of women who've been captured, covered in blood, soldiers dead all over the place, cars destroyed, homes getting looted and ransacked by Hamas. And this is a big operation. You could definitely tell that they were caught with their pants down, Israel was. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it's very interesting when you think about, interesting is not the right word, but I mean it's very disturbing when you realize that Biden did a prisoner exchange last month with Iran and gave Iran $6 billion. Now, I don't know this to be a fact. I'm not an expert, but from what I'm reading online, it seems that Iran is the biggest funder of Hamas, and Hamas has said as much, that Iran is their biggest funder. So 1 month after Biden gives Iran $6 billion, we get the biggest attack. We get a war, an actual war. This isn't some little military skirmish. We've seen this stuff in the Middle East for years and years, little skirmishes back and forth. This is not that. This is literally a war that just broke out this morning, and it appears that they have a lot more funding than they have had in decades, and a lot of people are speculating that this funding is coming from Iran. Now, where did Iran get this $6 billion? Well, the deal that Biden just did for a prisoner exchange. He gave Iran $6 billion, and it looks like that might be biting us in the ass. I don't know this to be a fact, but guys, I just have to say, my channel, while I do cover geopolitics, it's really just from a perspective of hating war. I'm extremely, extremely anti-war, and the reason why is because I see what it does to innocent people, and whoever is right and wrong in this issue, I'm seeing what Hamas is doing, and this looks like despicable evil. And in my opinion, of somebody who knows very little about this area of the world, it doesn't matter whatever happened to Palestine to make them do these kinds of acts. It doesn't justify what I'm seeing right now. These videos are horrible. These photos are horrible. And whatever has happened in the past, of which I'm sure bad things have happened to Palestine as well. I'm not saying that Israel is 100% an innocent party. I don't know enough about it. You guys can let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you maybe have studied this issue more than I have, maybe you can shed some light on it that I do not currently see. But from what I'm seeing, from a human perspective, what Hamas is doing is pure evil to be dragging women through the streets and shooting people on site and kidnapping them and looting their homes. They're doing a big operation, and to me, it looks disgusting. It's vile, and I am very anti-war. And I never made this channel to be some expert and try to bring you guys the news as somebody who studies everything in geopolitical tensions, because it's just not me. What I made this for is because I think that it so desperately needs to be covered by people who understand how horrible war is, by people who have studied history. And I'm not an expert, but I have gone and done a lot of deep dives in World War II, and it really woke me up to the fact of how disgusting war is, and that the innocents are the ones who pay the price. So regardless of whatever disputes over territory and horrible things have happened in the past with Israel and Palestine, civilians paying the price for the cost of military and political decisions, to me, is utterly despicable and vile, and I do not condone it. I do not support it. I think it is absolutely horrible to see where humanity is at in the year 2023. We want to believe we're so civilized and peaceful now, and we've evolved and life is better, but it's kind of hard to wake up with that mentality when you see news like this and you see people dead all over the place, being kidnapped, crying, looking for their families. And this has just started. This is going to get much, much worse, much quicker. And even where it is at right now, it's very hard to keep a positive mindset and to feel like this world is being guided when you see this kind of nonsense going on, this kind of destruction. And as I mentioned, I don't want people blowing me up in the comments section saying, oh, you're defending Israel or you're defending Palestine. I'm not defending what I'm seeing. That's all I'm saying. I'm not defending these innocent people getting their lives taken, getting terrorized by Palestine, by Hamas. I don't know all the tensions in the world that have led up to this moment. And as I stated plenty of times, I'm sure that Israel is not a 100% innocent party. I'm sure they've struck back at Palestine. I'm sure innocents have been killed. But the reason why I do this is because I'm anti-war. I'm anti-innocence innocent lives being taken. That is what I'm against. If the militaries want to go at it, I don't condone that either. But if they're willing participants and they have a dispute over territory, whatever it is, and they feel that the way to have a conclusive decision on a dispute is military operations, I don't support that at all. I believe there's a lot of unwilling participants who get drafted into conflicts like this. But even more so than that, I don't support that. But, if you're going to do it, leave innocent lives out of it. Leave people who are just focusing on their life. I mean, these poor people who are being slaughtered right now by Hamas, they're just living their lives. They're just going to work, paying their bills. They're with family. They're worrying about staying healthy and keeping the lights on and just the things that the everyday person worries about. They're not worried about these grand operations of disputes, and I'm sure they have opinions on them, but those opinions are obviously largely made up of from their history and from the news that they're receiving, from what their government is telling them. So they're not a guilty party. No innocent side on the civilians, in my opinion, is guilty of anything. Now, I'm not saying that to be a blanket statement for everybody. Maybe some people have done things, but this going into cities and slaughtering people is disgusting. That's all it is disgusting. I don't know what they're even trying to accomplish, because all they're going to do is to enact a giant war and retaliation against them by the Israeli military forces, and that's exactly what's happening. Let's continue reading some headlines, because man, this is some big stuff. So, as I said, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu says, "Citizens of Israel, we are at war." Says the Israel Defense Force has announced it has begun Operation Iron Swords, which will involve major operations against Hamas in southern Israel and in the Gaza Strip, while also including the call-up of over 10,000 reservists. I believe they're preparing to do some draft as well. Don't know that to be 100% fact. But yeah, Netanyahu says what is happening now is a war and not just a military operation. This comes from Endgame World War III. He says the attack on this comes from Mariv, who I don't know who that is. I'm assuming somebody in the Israeli government. Says the attack on Israel is a massive intelligence failure that shocked the world. Now, this is where it gets very interesting with the whole aspect of Iran. It says Iran has been aiming for a confrontation with Israel and the United States. The success of Russia and Ukraine is encouraging Iran to undo decades of hostile U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East. A bankrupt U.S. government has just been invited to another war. And it looks like we will possibly be getting involved, at least through the funding, similarly to what we are doing in Ukraine right now. United States Defense Secretary Austin says the Pentagon will work to ensure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself. So this is bad. And as I mentioned, I don't know all the nuanced details to this, but it appears that Iran is one of, if not the biggest funder of Hamas, and they just got a nice $6 million check from Biden last month. So I don't know if it would be oversimplistic to blame Biden for that. I don't have a dog in that fight right now. This is not something I'm covering to point fingers. I can only tell you what I am seeing on the internet right now, what I'm seeing on Twitter, and what I'm seeing on Twitter is vile. It is inhumane, barbaric actions that I can't even believe are still around in 2023, and it's very hard to stay positive and go through your day when you see this kind of stuff happening in the world. And I just don't know what to make of it, but it's very scary because it has the chance, it looks like it has the chance to drag in the United States, at the very least, in another war of proxy. I don't know if, I guess that would technically be the terminology. It's not as if America incited this, but definitely if we are funding this on top of Ukraine and then China goes for Taiwan, man, things can escalate. It seems a lot of people have this belief that, like, because nothing has happened and because World War III has not happened for such a long time, it's been so long since there's been a global conflict, everything's fine, and that it's just kind of like fake news and fear-mongering. You see that all the time. Stop fear-mongering people. And the truth of the matter is, look, you can wake up one morning and two nations are at war with each other. It happens that fast, and that is the world we're living in right now. As of today, Saturday, October 7th, there's a war going on, another war. And the implications of this one are just as dangerous as Ukraine and Russia. With Iran wanting to get involved, Iran said that they're vowing to support Palestine with the destruction of Israel. That's what they came out and said today, and I think they're like parliament or something of that sort. They are supporting this. I don't know if it's directly, if they're going to be sending troops, but Obviously, Israel is backed by the United States. So now you've got Iran on one side and the United States on the other side, and then Palestine and Israel going at it. And Israel has declared this is a war. Hamas says this is a war. We don't know what's going to happen. This attack happened out of nowhere. It happened very fast in the matter of a few hours. It's still ongoing. So we just don't know where this is headed, guys. And I really just wanted to make this today to just speak to the horror and the atrocity of what I'm seeing. And I'm sure there's going to be people who think that this is black and white. Oh, Israel did this. Palestine is just trying to defend their people because their territory's been taken. And, or vice versa. Palestine is just a bunch of terrorists. You're going to hear narratives on both sides. I don't have a dog in the fight. All I can do is be honest with you guys and tell you I'm not an expert, and I don't know all the nuanced detail, and I don't believe in this world that anybody in a dispute like this for so long is fully innocent. I don't believe that. I could be wrong, but I don't believe that off the top of my head. But what I do believe is that what I'm seeing Palestine do right now is evil. So that leads me to believe that they are not the good guys. It's hard for me to believe they're the good guys when I'm seeing them drag women through the streets and slaughter families and go through people's homes and kidnap people and torture them. Everything I'm seeing right now on these videos is just absolutely vile. And as I said, the reason why I do this channel in the geopolitical segments, it can get me in some trouble because people have very prominent opinions, very strong opinions on geopolitics, naturally so because lives are involved, and it's kind of hard for me to navigate that tightrope of telling people, I'm not an expert, I'm not here to tell you what things are. I'm more here to just bring attention to the atrocities of this world because I think that they go largely unnoticed, and I think war is just the most despicable, evil thing. And my interest is not the right word, but my desire to follow this kind of stuff when it's so negative, it's like, why would you follow it then? It's because I think it's so important because I go back to World War II and I used to study that a lot and I still do to this day. And when you read the firsthand accounts of people, innocent lives that, we're just caught up in the gears of history, as Dan Carlin put so well, that you get caught up in the gears of history, and these people are just trying to live their lives. It happened in World War II. They, read their diaries and just look at how somebody's life can get affected on the individual level by governments and by politics and policies that really aren't impacting their life in any major way until some sort of conflict gets brewed into, and all of a sudden it's the innocents who are getting dragged into it. The people who have no ability to control this situation anyway. They're focused on feeding their family and surviving, and now they're dragged into this. I mean, these people are just waking up, going to work, living a normal life, and now they were hostages. Now they're slaughtered, laying dead in the road, and it hurts me a lot to see, and I cover it from that perspective of just being anti-war and saying what on earth are you guys doing to each other? It's madness, and I think it needs to be discussed, and I think there's a place for for my style of approach with it. I'm not here to point the finger per se or to tell you guys the entirety of the situation. There's other podcasts out there who do a great job of probably explaining the nuanced history between Palestine and Israel, and I recommend you go check that stuff out because right here this is the anti-war show. This is what mixed martial arts is. At least the geopolitical segments is, I'm just anti-war. I hate seeing this stuff, and I believe it's so devastating that people have to talk about it. You can't just look away and just go about your meager little lives and not look at what's going on to other people. If it happened to you, if it happened to your families, if it happened to your cities, your state, your country, you would be devastated. So proximity is the only thing maybe keeping people from really caring. Hell, it's on the other side of the world. I've got real problems here. I've got work today. I've got this and that. And that's the reason why I come out here and cover this stuff, guys, because someone's got to do it. Someone's got to look at this and, not just turn away. And it's awful, man. There's a new war going on as of this morning, guys. You can let me know your thoughts. Let me know where you think this is going. Is this going to turn into a direct confrontation with Iran and United States, of which has been brewing for a long time? Or is this going to be another proxy where the United States is funding it? And I'm not saying the United States instigated this, but it is possible, it looks like, that the $6 billion that we gave to Iran, of which pretty mad. I mean, I would like to hear the rationale from the administration as to why they did that. I don't know all the details. I know it was for a prisoner exchange. It's obviously important to get our prisoners, our soldiers, whoever it was, back, but at the cost of giving them $6 billion, which then it looks like potentially they turned around and gave to Hamas, and now Palestine just launched a war. Now we have another very unstable, and it was already unstable, but now we have another unstable region that has just gone kinetic, that has just gone hot. How many people would die in this war? You have Ukraine and Russia going on right now. You have China and Taiwan on the nice razor edge to a conflict, and now you have Israel and Palestine at war. So that's why I cover this stuff, not to be a fearmonger, but to point out the fact it's like, baby, you got to pay attention to this. You can't just look away, because this is how World War II started. Not in this exact same circumstances, but it starts smaller, and then like a fire, it gets bigger. Something sparks it. Smaller nations start getting in disputes, and then it drags in bigger nations. It drags in treaties, and all kinds of stuff gets enacted, and before you know it, the safe bubble that you lived in is no longer there, and the entire world is in utter chaos. That's how it's happened in the past. We can see the same recipe here. So that's why I'm out here covering it. It's not to say I'm right, you're wrong, or this nation's evil, this one's innocent. But what I saw today and what I'm seeing on Twitter is it's evil. There's no other way. If you defend Palestine's actions, you feel free to share why you believe that. As I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, I did see, Israeli citizens beating a Palestinian woman. So, I mean, obviously there's going to be resentment on both sides, and I don't know all the details to it. If you want to, attempt to enlighten me, maybe you know more than I do, please do. Go ahead, put it in the comments section, send me an email, mixedmartianartsshow@gmail.com. Whatever you want to do. But what I'm seeing today is evil. It's despicable, and I do not support it. I want this to stop. I want this to end. And that's what the geopolitical segments that I do really are about. It's not necessarily about bringing you breaking news and giving you my expert take. That's not what it is. It's me kind of pointing and saying, don't look away from this. Though it hurts to look at, though it's depressing, and you feel like you have no control. So a lot of people have the opinion of, why would I even follow something that I can't control, and it's going to ruin my mood for the day? Well, you have to, because you're a human being, and when you see other human beings suffering, you need to have empathy for them, and you need to be extremely grateful that you live in a place that's not in a conflict like this, because if you were, your opinion would dramatically change. You wouldn't feel it so laissez-daisical, and you can just look away and go about your life. You would have a very different take, and these poor people in Israel today are they're having a hard time, man. They're having a very hard time, and I don't know where it's going to go from here. You guys can let me know your thoughts. I find this to be very stressful. I find it to be very depressing, and I'm sorry to bring you guys negative news, but I'm not just going to pretend to be cheery and just bring you guys stuff for views. I'm going to cover what I feel needs to be covered, and when I see atrocities happening like this, I'm going to cover them. I'm not going to just say nothing. You got to call evil out when you see evil, and I don't know everything that has caused the situation. I don't know where the guilt lies, who specifically is to blame, but in this specific incident, this conflict, this war that just started, I'm seeing what Palestine is doing to innocent people, not even just the military, which to do it to the military alone is despicable, but to see it being done against innocent civilians is utterly reprehensible. So I have to call that out. I don't know the whole backstory of Palestine and maybe what has been done to them to make them want to act out in such a way, but you're lashing out at innocent civilians, man. That's never the right move. If Israel goes and does that, retaliates because of this attack and kills innocent civilians, I don't support that either. I don't support innocent life being taken. So let me know your thoughts, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you want to get more content on this. I'm going to update you guys as it develops. And yeah, that's it. Sorry I'm not more cheerful, so I don't have any more good news to bring you. I'm not my cheery self, but you wake up and you see this stuff and it just hits you hard. So stay safe, everybody, and let me know your thoughts on this. I'll be back in the next day or two with another episode. Take it easy, Martians. Have a good one.